In episode 7, Wanda is entered the mid-2000s. She's now in like a Modern Family type show. She's had time to consider what she did about expanding the borders to the Hex, and she knows that the anger got the best of her. She's telling all this to a camera in a one-on-one interview like you would see on The Office or Modern Family. Billy and Tommy come into her bedroom, though, and tell her that their video games are acting funny. The video game controller is reverting back to the old days, as far back as Uno cards. Billy also lets her know, my head feels funny. It's very noisy. But since Wanda's going through a lot, she just wants to do a staycation, get her mind right. She comes downstairs, grabs some milk, but then all of a sudden, the milk starts changing. From a modern-day milk carton to an 80s style, even with a missing kid on it, to a glass bottle. Wanda's kind of freaked out about it because she doesn't know why that's happening. She walks in the living room and asks Billy and Tommy, have you guys seen Vision? And they say, no. Do you want to go look for him? But Wanda says, no. If he doesn't want to be here, there's nothing I can do about it. Billy then asks about what Pietro said about killing Dad again. And Wanda jumps on them, don't ever say that. That man was not your uncle. To which they understandably ask, then who is he? The problem is, she doesn't know who he is, and she has trouble explaining it. She's also freaking out the kids a little bit. They're kind of weirded out by her. But as she's sitting on the couch with them, in walks Agnes. And Agnes realizes that Wanda's in a little bit of a fragile state. She turns to Billy and Tommy and says, hey boys, why don't we give your mommy some me time? And that is something that Wanda really appreciates. But as Wanda is sitting there by herself, things in the house start reverting back to the old days. She changes them back, and she tells the camera that she's fine, but she's definitely not fine. Now, on the outside, Hayward is set up just outside of the new Hex. He asks for an update on the broadcast, but it's gone dark. He then gives the order to attack today. He's done waiting. Two people that don't know this are Rambo and Wu. They're heading to meet Rambo's contact, and Wu gets the email that was sent from Darcy revealing what was behind Hayward's firewall. And what the files say is that Hayward wasn't trying to decommission Vision. He was trying to bring him back, and nothing was working until Wanda showed up and stole him. That's one of the reasons why Hayward was tracking Vision. Hayward wants his weapon back. They then pull up, though, on Rambo's contact. And they're also set up right outside of the Hex, but on the opposite side of Hayward's people. And Rambo's contact is someone named Agent Goodner. She introduces her to Agent Wu, and then thanks her, telling her, my mother would really appreciate your loyalty. To which Goodner says, she's not the only one we're loyal to, Captain. She then reveals the item that she brought Rambo. And it's their most heavily armored space rover. And as Rambo is getting suited up, she says, I'm going to go get Darcy back. But she also knows that she has to let Wanda know that Hayward is planning on using Vision as a weapon again. So Rambo hops in the vehicle, and they figure that this will be pretty simple. She'll just go right through the Hex, just like everything else. But when she drives up, she is completely stopped. She's having a ton of trouble penetrating this thing. The density of the Hex is matching the density of the vehicle. Rambo continues to put the pedal to the metal, saying that she can get through. And she does come close. The front wheels and some of the cabin beds start going through, but the vehicle is being rewritten, so Wu tells Rambo, get the hell out of there, and she does just in the nick of time. She lands on the ground, and half the vehicle's in the Hex, half the vehicle is out, but with no one's foot on the gas, the Hex spits out the vehicle, and now it's half pickup truck, half space rover. Wu runs up to check on Rambo, but she drops her helmet and just says, I can get through. And Wu screams for her not to, but it's too late. She runs towards the Hex, and she fights through it, and she is able to actually enter it. But as she's making her way through it, there's a bunch of different stages in her life popping out. She's also hearing the voice of her mother, also the voice of Captain Marvel. But she continues to press forward, and they all collapse into her body. And when she pops out of the Hex, her eyes are glowing blue. So she heads off to find Wanda. But she isn't the only one. Vision woke up on the outskirts of Westview. And when the Hex swallowed up the encampment of Sword, it turned everything into an old-timey circus, including Darcy. Vision recognizes her and goes up to her, but because Darcy is under Wanda's spell, she just thinks that she's a part of the show. So Vision has to snap her out of it. And when Darcy introduces herself to Vision, Vision remembers her name from intercepting that email. Vision needs answers, Darcy has them, so they hop in a funnel cake truck and head off. Two of the questions he has are his children safe? But Darcy doesn't know that. He also asks her, who is that imposter Pietro? But she doesn't know that either. But Darcy does her best to fill Vision in on everything's happening in his life with Endgame, Thanos, all that. But they come up to a streetlight and it turns red, and this has been a trend for them. And Vision thinks that it's Wanda, creating roadblocks so he can't return home. He's kind of proven right when the light turns green, but then all of a sudden a work crew shows up blocking them. And when the work crew leaves, well, then there's a crossing guard with a bunch of kids crossing the street. It gives them time, though, to talk, and Vision wants to know what he is currently. If he used to be dead and he was created by Iron Man, but she doesn't really have the answers. The only answer she really does have for that is that The love between him and Wanda is real. She knows that from watching the television show. It's frustrating, though, because Vision doesn't remember any of this. And that's when he realizes, what am I doing? I can just fly to my wife. So he leaves the truck. But Rambo already has beaten him to it. She arrives at Wanda's house and tells her this whole thing is about Vision, but Wanda is so enraged to see her face that she just tells her, get out. Even as Rambo is trying to explain the Hayward connection, Wanda is just incapable of listening, using her powers to try to throw Rambo out of the house and smash her on the ground. But while walking through the hex, Rambo gained powers of her own. Wanda continues to flash her powers, and Rambo says, do it. Take me out. But Wanda doesn't. And Rambo says that's where you and Hayward differ. He's going to burn Westview to the ground just to get what he wants. Don't let him make you the villain. But Wanda says, maybe I already am. Rambo tries to connect with her on a personal level, telling her, I also lost the person that was closest to me. And as she's trying to convince her to kind of back down the hex, Agnes shows up, taking Wanda away and telling Rambo to kick rocks. She takes Wanda back to her house, and Wanda sees the rabbit that Billy and Tommy were playing with and a bunch of half-eaten sandwiches, but the kids are nowhere to be found. She asks Agnes, wait, where did the boys go? And Agnes says, they're probably playing in the basement. So Wanda heads down there. And let me tell you, it is a creepy basement. Wanda starts looking all over for the kids, but she's not finding them. And that's when Agnes reveals her true identity, Agatha Harkness. She has powers, and she's been behind a lot of the stuff that's happened to Wanda in Westview. And she uses her powers to get into Wanda's mind, she did with Pietro, or whoever was pretending to be Pietro. Agnes had a hand in it. And the worst thing she did is kill the dog. I mean, that's just uncalled for. And then, by the way, the commercial we get for this episode is for a prescription pill called Nexus, because prescription pills are all the rage nowadays. Thank you so much for watching this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you thought it sucked. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, don't worry, it'll be up soon. And please be nice in the comments section. Nobody likes being told they suck, even if it's true. Oh, and sharing's caring.